Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second live streaming event for the WordPress Translation Day 2021. If you don't know, WordPress Translation Day has been going on since September 1st this year. The celebrations were extended to the entire month of September. We've had a number of locales organizing mini events, and those are still being planned. And this week, starting from September 17th until September 30th, which is International Translation Day, we have a handful of live streaming events, sprints, and other projects that you can either watch or participate in to participate in Translation Day this year. You can find all of the information on wptranslationday.org. From there, you can see the local events listed. If you don't see a local event for your locale, reach out to your community, see if folks want to plan one. They are still being planned. They are still being added to the website. So there's definitely enough time for that. And just before we dive in today, I just want to say thank you to Yogesh, who is helping us with kind of behind the scenes today. So you won't see him, but I want to say thank you from on the screen here. Great. So with that, before we dive in, also one more thing, remember this is a live stream, so please do comment in the YouTube chat. We will be looking at those throughout this event. We'll have hopefully some time for questions at the end. Just keep in mind the comments there can't be edited after, so yeah, keep that in mind as you type out what you're going to say. For our panel today, I have 4 people on the screen with me here who are all Polyglots contributors. And I think for all of us who have contributed translations to WordPress, we spend a lot of time in translate.wordpress.org. And since GlotPress was introduced to manage WordPress translations many years ago, so many new locales and so many new projects have been added. And I think with all of those projects and all of the possibility for translating WordPress and related projects, probably most Polyglots contributors are always on the lookout for ways to improve their workflow, maybe make things a little more efficient, maybe make things a little bit quicker. And that's what brings us here today. So the 4 people sitting here with me are all Polyglots contributors to a variety of locales. And through the course of their translation work, they all either decided to build or contribute to tools that add into GlotPress to help improve their workflows, whether they're translating or reviewing translations. So they will be sharing these tools with us today. They'll be giving an overview of how the tools work, what they can be used for, along with other pro tips, inspiration, how they got started, and things like that they found helpful in their experience. So with that, I am going to turn things over to let them each introduce themselves, and I will start with you, Vlad.
Hi, I'm Vlad. I'm based in Bucharest, Romania, and I like to create code that hopefully makes WordPress contributions be as good and simple to do as possible. And I'm handing the virtual mic over to Jesus.
Hi, I'm Jesus and come from Galicia in the northwest of Spain. I work as code wrangler at Automatic in translation items, and today I'm going to explain a Polyglotos facilitator tool that I have developed some years ago to do the translations quickly.
Hi everyone, I'm Vibji. I'm from Tamil Nadu, India. I currently live in Toronto. I've been doing WordPress projects before and currently contributing to translating Tamil for the last 2 years. I'll be presenting WP Translation Filler plugin, which myself and Peter created. Thank you.
Okay, now it's my turn. Hi, everybody. I'm Peter. I'm living in the Netherlands, near Amsterdam, big city. I was already acquainted with WordPress because I maintain websites, and from profession I'm a software tester, so I tested plugins, etc. I got involved with a non-profit organization who asked me to develop a website for them, and for those I needed some plugins that were not translated. That was my start with translating for WordPress. when doing that, I was searching for tools to improve the translation and make the translation quicker. And so I got in contact with Wiggy, who developed the WordPress translation filler. And since 1.5 years, I'm now also a GTE for the local NL, and checking translations, improving them, and giving advice. And during this 1.5 years, I worked together with Wipke to enhance his tool until the way it's working now. So that's a bit of my background.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for being here. I'm really excited about this panel today. I know a lot of people have found these tools that you've all contributed to very helpful. And I do just want to take a moment to acknowledge that this is definitely not a comprehensive list. There are also other tools, I'm sure, out there that other people use. I know there are a few other tools that other WordPress contributors have created. So if you are interested in looking at those as well, those are all in the Polyglots Handbook at make.wordpress.org/polyglots/handbook. It's also included in the description on YouTube and on the wptranslationday.org website. And that also includes links to all of the tools that you'll see here today. And before we dive in, just a quick disclaimer, you may see some plugins included as we go through these demos. Just as a note, those are just used for examples. So these tools can be used with any project in GlotPress. So if you are interested in using these tools, please know it is not limited just to that. And if you are a new contributor and you're not sure of what project to start with, it's always good to look first to make sure that the WordPress core software is translated completely in your language. And beyond that, I always recommend just chatting with your local team to see if there's any particular priorities there that might be important, or it's always good to start with something that you're using yourself. So with that, we can dive in. I will turn everything over to Vlad, who will walk us through the first demo of GlotDict.
Thank you. My journey starts with creating GlotPress Tools extension as a personal script to help me translate for Romanian locale. Although I didn't have enough courage to make it public initially, I eventually did it. Then I had the honor of joining the GlotDict team led by Daniel, its creator, and I'm very grateful for that team. I learned a lot of new things and I still do, so a huge thank you. GlotDict has entered its 5th year of existence, and over 500 translators are using it right now as we speak. If you're not using it yet, let's watch a video and see how you can get started using it.
So, you've heard GlotDict is an awesome translation tool and you added it to your browser? Let me walk you through the process to get the most out of it. First, go to any strings translation page and choose your locale. Then, on that same page, try the review button and see what GlotDict finds. On this particular page, GlotDict found 6 strings with errors, marked with a red border. Let's have a look at them. Here, this translation doesn't use one or more terms found in your glossary. Next, this translation has a missing start space, and this one has a missing end space. This translation doesn't end with a halep as the original suggests. Here I have a string that starts with a capital letter, but the translation doesn't. This translation doesn't end with a symbol as the original suggests. If I try to save the translation, the warning will block me to do so. Pretty handy, right? However, if this warning is a false positive one, I can easily remove it by pressing on discard. And now I can save the translation. If you find that one of these checks doesn't suit your translation workflow, then in the settings page you can customize each of these and a few others. On the same page you will see a list of keyboard shortcuts to make your translation process even faster. Check them out. On a strings translation page, you often need top tools, so now you can pin header to top and use everything in the sticky header on the go. There are over 200 locales being translated on WordPress, so it might be hard to find yours. No more. Now you have a scroll to locale button on stats page, and your locale will be first on the home page. Last but not least, with every update, users are presented with a What's New window, so you'll always know what new cool features you have at your fingertips. Enough talking. Head over and install Glotdict and start translating.
Pretty powerful, right? And that's not all. Just a few days ago, the team released a new major version, 2.0. Do you have it yet? In the last month, new big features have been imported into Glotdict, but more on that a little bit later. The team has a lot of great ideas to make Glotdict even better and more useful for you. I'm so excited for its future. Now, I'll ask someone from the green room to share the link to the video demo in the chat so you can watch it in your own time and start using Glotdict as part of your own translation workflow. Erika, back to you. I think you're muted.
And I'm muted. Thank you so much. And I do see that. Thank you, Yogesh, for dropping that link in the comments in YouTube. And I think from here, what we'll do, we'll jump right over to Jesus and leave some questions for the end. So thank you so much for kicking us off, Vlad. And Jesus, I'm going to add you to the screen now.
Okay, thank you, Erika.
All right, just let me know when you're ready to share, and I will get your
I'm ready.
presentation up. Cool. Here you go.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about a tool that I have developed. I started developing 3 years ago, more or less. It's called WordPress Bulk Loss Facilitator. First of all, I'm going to present me. I'm Jesus Amieiro. I work as a code wrangler at Automattic, and you can contact with me through my WordPress website, Twitter, or email. Okay, first of all, I'm going to say where I live, and you will understand because I'm going to say this. I come from Spain. In Spain, I come from the northwest of Spain, in a small autonomous region called Galicia. We have a particular situation in Galicia that we are a small community and 2.7 million of inhabitants, but we have our own language. This Galician. It's a Latin language near Portuguese and Spanish. For example, we can talk in Galician with a Portuguese, and we can understand the Portuguese people without any problem. Okay, we have 3.2 million of speakers all over the world, because in the 20th century, a lot of Galician people emigrate to another countries, mainly in Latin America and Central Europe. So a key characteristic that we have in Galicia is that we, all the people, are bilingual speakers. We speak in Spanish and Galician language. I can start a conversation talking in Spanish and change to Galician without any problem, and when I understand both languages with any problem. But in the WordPress community, we have a few contributors. We only have 145 contributors, but in fact, we only a few active, 2 or 3 contributors. So when we want to start translate the core, a plugin or a theme or something in the meta environment, we have a big problem. That is, we need to translate from English to Galician. As we are not English native speakers, we have to contextualize all the strings that we want to translate from in the English to the Galician language, and then a reviewer has to review it. This is a complex process that take a long time. But with this tool, I wanted to avoid this problem, and I use a good characteristic that is that the Spanish community, the Spanish from Spain community, has a lot of translations made in the core, in the themes, or on the plugins. They are the main community, the main translation community over the world. So, as I am a native Spanish speaker, what I want to do is use these translations and translate from Spanish to the Galician language and not from the English to Galician language. If I can do this, I not have to contextualize the strings, so I can go faster, a lot of faster. So to do this, I have developed a web tool. Currently, it's a SaaS web tool. You can go to this URL and start using it. But in the first time, it was a CLI tool. I used this in my computer, but then I put a web interface to share with the community. And the source code is available at GitHub with a AGPL 3.0 license. It was developed in Laravel, a PHP framework, and it's translated in 3 languages: in English, in Spanish, and in Galician language. Okay, in this slide you can see the main user interface. You can see that you can select the item that you are going to translate. In this case is the Jetpack and the Jetpack plugin in the development environment, and that you are going to translate it using the current Spanish translation, Spanish from Spain, and you are going to translate to the Galician language. You are going to make a file with 25 translations, and if you select this item, you are going to use internal database that are going to translate well-known words from one language to another. We'll see this in the next example. When I click in the download PO button, a PO file, a portable object file, will be downloaded to my local computer. The portable object format is a well-known format used in the translation work. It's something like this. As you can see, we have some comments with this character. We have the original string, or the original in English, and we have the translation string, in this case in the Galician language. As you can see, what this tool do is takes the original string, put the translation string in Spanish, and using this internal database, translate some well-known words or phrases from Spanish to Galician in this case. For example, the word nest that we have here in English is the translation of this word is siguiente in Spanish, but you can see that here the word is different because they has been translated using the internal database. Okay, if you work on work in this internal database, you can improve a lot of the speed of the translations. Okay, then I review this file. For example, for 50 strings, it can take 2, 3, 4 minutes, no more that this time for a huge amount of strings. And then when I have worked with this PO file in, for example, in the VS Code editor, or for example in the POEdit software, I go to the translate.wordpress.org and import the PO file. I brought this file. What can translate in the WordPress environment with this tool? I can translate the plugins, the themes, the patterns, all the WordPress core, all the meta environment, and the Android and the iOS apps. So I can translate all the items that you can find in the translate.wordpress.org. For example, if I want to translate from Spanish to Galician the WordPress meditation backend, I will have this screen. Okay, with this, if I click in this download PO button, I will download 25 strings pre-translated from Spanish to Galician language. And I can review, and as I said before, and this review will take 2-3 minutes, no more. I spent a lot of time the translation process with this tool. Okay, and I'm using this tool for to translate the ecosystem to Galician language, but I know that this tool is used in another cases. For example, people from another Spanish localizations are using this tool because if we have a lot of translation in the Spanish from Spain, they are and get this translation and put this translation in other localizations. For example, it's the Spanish of Venezuela or the Spanish of Colombia. We have a lot of Spanish localizations. Okay. So I have finished the presentation. So Rika, I go back to you.
Great. Thank you so much. And while you're on screen, I'm just going to say, I see both for your tool and for Glotdict too, we've had a few really nice comments about how helpful they've been. So yeah, thank you to you both. And from here, I will welcome Vibji and Peter to the screen. I'm going to remove myself. You both feel free to introduce the tool you're working on, and then just let me know when to add your screen share so you can do your demo.
Sure. Thank you, Erika. Hello, everyone. So I've been working on this WordPress translation for the last 1.5 years. Before that, I'm a software developer by profession, and I've been working on Microsoft.NET for the last 15 years. And even before that, when I was in college, I used to do some projects in WordPress. I even do that sometimes in the past. So when I wanted to contribute something back to WordPress, I found that translating WordPress to Tamil appealed to me, and I wanted to join the Polyglots team. I was added to the Polyglots team, and I started translating to Tamil. There were thousands of strings needed to be translated, and I found that the process of translating manually each string very too much work. And I also found that the other translators, sometimes they grab Google Translate for Tamil and put it in the WordPress, and it's not always neat. Like that Google Translate has improved a lot in the recent years. Like 5 years back, I wouldn't even think about Google Translate to translate anything to Tamil. It will give garbage. But nowadays the AI has improved a lot, and it's usable, but it's still is not up to the standards of WordPress translation expectations. Um, when translating, sometimes the string is very long, and I would put it in Google Translate and grab the translation and put it back in WordPress Translate. But I thought of creating a tool which can do that automatically for me. So that's when I created this WordPress translation filler. So what it does is it's a browser extension. You will see it demonstrated by Peter uh, very soon. It's a browser extension. You can install it in your browser, and you need to set up a few things like the Google API key and the destination language and few other things. Once you do that, it picks up the original translation and sends it to the Google API, and the Google API gives a translation back, and that's put in the WordPress translation screen. So before I presented this tool to the Polyglots team, I used it for a few months, and over the time, I found that uh, the Google translation has some of the words translated wrong. Like it's not in the dictionary. The glossary defined in the Tamil locale. So I also added a feature to find out words which are not in the uh, glossary defined in Tamil local in WordPress. Um, and once I presented it to Polyglot's team, Peter showed a lot of interest, and uh, he started contributing to the project as well. The extension code is available in GitHub, so anyone can contribute. Uh, uh, so I'll hand it back to Peter, and he will introduce and show the tool. Peter, you are on mute.
Sorry. Now I'm back on. Thank you for your explanation, and I will start my presentation soon. I'm for 20 years working as a software tester, and as such I also maintain WordPress websites, and by profession I also translated a lot of software documents into my native language. So I do know a lot about translation. I was in need of a translation tool because I hate typing in letters which take time, and therefore I got in contact with the tool from Vigby, which I will going to be showing you just now. It's not only a translator, but it also indicates the quality of existing streams, but that is something I will show later. As Vigby already said, the project is present on GitHub. You can see it here. It has currently 5 branches. The one which is the most actual and tested is the master. If you fetch that and you download it, you can unzip it in a folder, and then we have an installation document within the wiki that explains how you need to install it. It's described here. There are currently 3 translator APIs present, which you see here, and you have to purchase or acquire a IP key to work with them. So, okay, if you have installed the add-on, then you will see in parameters options, you have to set some options. As indicated before, we have 3 keys currently. VIPKey started with Google, which at that time did have some faults, which we improved with the translation filler, but still Google doesn't sometimes translate properly into my language. So I felt the need, for instance, to add DeepL, which translates better into the Dutch language. The same is for the Microsoft API key. There is a bit of difference between them in translating. Sometimes Microsoft is better, sometimes DeepL is better. So it's your choice to choose the one. As soon as you have a API key, you need to set which one you are going to use. In this example, it's Google. Then you need to set the locale, which is for translation into your language. We can also import the glossary, which is designed for your locale. It's used for indicating the quality of the translation. The second field is a pre-translation replace lines. Sometimes all the APIs are stubborn and give you the wrong verb back. So what you can do here is say, okay, if you see, for instance, the &amp, sometimes that's returned as blanks in between. So what you can do there is define a variable, in this case XA3, which is later in the second field present but reversed. So it's turning the XA3 back into example. That gives you some flexibility if there are sometimes placeholders or verbs that are not translated properly. During the translation process, you can also change verbs. This is Dutch, but sometimes you get verbs that are not properly translated. So you can exchange them for the verbs that are added here in these lines. For instance, backup. Most of the times you get it back without the dash in between, and we use the dash in between as rule. So what happens is, if you get backup back from the translator API, it is changed into back /up. To be able to switch between systems, you can export those verbs into a CSV file, or in another system you can upload it. Also, there are 2 toggles. That is an option we have set because the other tool, VP-GPT, also can show history or compare translations. So we made it flexible. If you do not want this functionality within the WordPress translation filler, you can unmark it and then use the one from VP-GPT. So it shows you the difference and the history present for the translations. So that are the options that are currently available. We go to the next slide. This is the view you get when it is installed. You see that there are 4 buttons on top here. The main one we will use is the translate button. You have to click, oh, my apologies, I need to log on. Otherwise it will not accept my translations. I need to be a WordPress user that can send in translations. So if you click the button translate, you will see that the preview fields are populated, so we can see if the translation is fine or not. If it's fine, you can click on save here and it will save the record, and that's all you have to do. The second step is, okay, we have this is for when you are translating. You can also review translated lines. And in this case, you see that these are all translated rules. And on the left, you will see, if you have set the checkbox, tick the checkbox, you will see that it indicates that there is, in this case, the name of the plugin, which is normally in our locale not translated. Some others translate them, but for me as a translator, it's important to see if somebody did not translate or did translate this line, which is not the intention for the locale, and then you are warned. If the line is not the same as in this case, the name of the plugin, it will turn into red, indicating that the translation is not the same. In this case, there's also already a translation present, which has been rejected, possibly because it was wrong. The same for the next one. There are already 3 old translations present. You can simply click on it and show it through the standard translation history. And here you see that in this case there's a difference in the plugin name. It has been the figure 3 has been left out, which is not good. And here also there is a difference, and this one is the proper one. Let me go back. Also, if you translate, the translation is checked. And if you go into the translation and it's okay, it will be green. Let me show somebody else. This is the wrong page. On the left side, you see a column which is colored. The figure 100 indicates to me that the string is 100% translated. And in this case, as example, it's string, and we don't want to translate it to a taken reeks. That's the other Dutch verb for string. And in this case, the string is matched, so you have 100%. Also, if there's a glossary verb within this translation, it will show if you point to this column. Let me show you. In this case, you see that there has been made a suggestion with a wrong Dutch translation. In that case, it causes a 0 because it has one verb from the glossary which is missing. In this case, it's missing the placeholder text, which should be translated into plaatshouder. If you same thing here. In this case, there is no translation present for plugin, and you will see that it's marked red. If you translate it, it will turn into blue. And in this case, in the original, you have the verb format, which is not present in the translated because there's a 1A too much. So it shows you that there's a missing verb. If you point to the record, the same for this one. Same, it's missing a verb, and the color is different because there are more verbs that are missing. So that's the indication you get when you translate. It also is shown when you have a suggestion that already has been made and is missing the verb. You can also, in this case, add lines to your local database. Those are the 2 buttons with which you can export and import the local database. You can add a verb to your local database if you go into the string and click Add Translation, it will indicate that this has been added. And then if you translate a page from scratch, then it will add this added string into your to be translated line. So in that case, you will not have any cost because it's not retrieved from Google or DeepL or Microsoft. It's just retrieved from the local database. Okay. Let me show you. No. Here you see an example of the translation which is wrong. I know that because it should be string. Then you have the functionality of check page. What does that program do? It checks all the lines into this current list and marks the verb that has been changed. It's now string, and then you can save this record. So also this one is turned into purple to show you, okay, it has been changed. Because I have made a suggestion, which is possible in Glotdict, if someone has a translation that is added and approved, you still can add a new translation, which is a suggestion. So and that's what indicated over here, because there is already this string is already present, so I cannot overwrite it. Yeah, that's more or less the functionality of this tool. It's mainly developed for, as Vigby already indicated, for translating, which speeds up the translation process. But be aware, normally the teams do not allow machine translated entries, so they always need to be checked. That's the reason why we do not confirm the suggestions immediately. You have to check them before you save them. Suggestions for further improvement are always welcome. Here's your fuzzy string. They have been declared fuzzy, which you can see at the color. You can approve it or reject it at all. So now the status is changed to rejected, and it will not show up as fuzzy. That's globally the functionality of the WordPress translation filler tool. You have to play around with it to get the idea. But for me and for Vigby, it's working fine currently. So I hand over to you, Erica.
Great. Thank you both so much. I actually just wanted to raise one question before you end your screen share in case there is an example there, but Toby asked in the chat, and I'll show this on screen. Maybe you won't. Okay. What does it look like when you have a string with a plural? So I was wondering if either of you could just answer that real quickly before we move on to the second demonstration from Vlad today.
Peter, I think you are on mute.
Sorry.
That's okay.
In this project, there were no plurals, otherwise I would have shown it to you. But what happens is that if you open a screen, a translation screen that contains plurals, you will see the default screen from GlotPress. If you click on translate, it will translate both. So the preview will show you both the original and the translation. And that if you click on approve, it will approve both. The same if you do it manually. If you go into the plural screen, edit it, you have to edit both the lines before you can save it. The tool does it for you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Thank you again for this demonstration. And I am going to introduce Vlad back to the screen. And I will keep actually everyone on screen now. I know he has a few questions he wants to ask everyone here. So take it away, Vlad.
Hi again. Let's play a game together with you watching at home and with everyone on the screen right now. So I'm happy that you're here. Well, please raise your hand. Everyone? Okay. And I'll state a few things, and for every one of them you find true, just put a finger down. Okay? Ready? Let's start. A word or set of words often can be correctly translated in at least 2 or more different ways. If a translator uses different terms for the same item, action, or workflow, well, the end user might be confused. I have seen a string translated in more than 2 ways. I have seen a string translated in more than 10 ways. And I have seen a string translated in more than 20 ways. Okay, I see some of you still have some fingers up, so you won, I lost. Thank you for playing along. I'm curious what the folks watching us got. Thank you all. Yes, I have seen a string translated in more than 20 different ways with the exact same context. One could say that is a problem for the end user, but not one that we cannot solve. Let's watch a video together and we'll continue the talk after.
WordPress GlottPress Tools is a browser extension that is all about consistency. Consistent translations, consistent punctuation, consistent language rules, consistent placeholders, consistency across projects, consistent bulk replacement, consistency. That's what gives quality. Let's take a look at what WP GPT can offer you in the process of translation. On every string editor, you are presented with a Get Consistency Suggestions button. Then, if you press it, you can see what and how many times each translation is used. If you're happy with one of them, simply click on it to copy. It also works perfectly with strings that have plurals. I personally hit this button every single time. It allows me to see if there are any mistakes in the consistency to correct. In the top right side of the editor, we have quick links, permalink to this string, string history, and string consistency link. You can either open them in a new tab or hit the clipboard icon to switch on the copy to clipboard feature. Sharing a string link with a fellow team member has never been easier. Still struggling remember placeholder structure? You can forget about that. You now have a list of non-translatable items that you can simply click on them to insert in the text area. If they're all grayed out, that means you're good to go. No missing placeholders or HTML tags. WordPress GlottPress Tools runs a set of checks on each translation, both on page load and on string submission. Let's look at some examples. Here we have a translation that has a double space in it. This translation ends with a period while the original doesn't. This one contains a word from a list of words defined by the user as not accepted. And this string doesn't match between original and translation the number of times a word defined by the user is used. You can easily customize these checks and many others in the settings to make sure they fit your local rules and preferred workflow. For project editors, it is often useful to know a string history status. For example, a GDE would want to know if a waiting string already has a current string, either identical or different. Same for a fuzzy string that has already a waiting suggestion made for it. You can also enable the history count feature to see a history resume. As with everything else, this is fully customizable to match your preferences. One last feature I want to mention is the consistency bulk replacement tool only for GTEs. While on the consistency tool page, a GTE can choose a consistency alternative and bulk replace the others. Also, one can bulk reject all strings. Please use with caution. This is just a preview of what WordPress GlottPress Tools has for you. Made you curious? There's a lot of other small but powerful tools included. I dare you to discover them all. You're now ready to get your translation workflow to the next level. Happy translating!
So we have a solution for translation consistency. It's up to us to use it. Yogesh dropped the link for this demo in the chat, so you have everything you need to get started. Let me address the elephant in the room. Why did I talk about 2 extensions? Why not only one? Well, my personal recommendation is to use Glotdict. If you want something that has been tested by over 500 users and something that will be supported and enhanced continuously, go for Glotdict. But if you want to have access to the latest bits of experimental features, then alongside Glotdict, you can use WordPress GlottPress tools as well. I'll make sure that they are always fully compatible. Once an experimental and useful feature has been refined and tested enough to be imported, Glotdict will have that imported. This has already happened with consistency suggestions and quick links that you saw earlier in the demo. They are already in the Glotdict latest version, and more things are on their way. These extensions are open source projects. That means you can help improve them right away. You can open an issue on GitHub with your suggestion, or if you're not comfortable enough with GitHub environment, simply drop a message in Slack on Polyglot's channel and we'll be more than happy to get your feedback. If coding is your thing, PR contributions are also welcome. Any contribution can help. I hope that after this live session, we made you curious enough to hit those handy links sent in the chat and try out the presented tools. Happy translation. Erika?
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone for all of your demonstrations today. I'm going to bring everyone back to the screen. I probably should have warned you before I did that, but we're all here now. And I wanted to note, we did get one question in the chat. I think Vibji and Peter, I think this will be for you. But this the question is, so WPGP tools and Glotdict are both in the Chrome store. Will WP Translation Filler be added there as well in the future?
Yes, I've been working on adding it to the Chrome store. It's already in Firefox plugins, but for Chrome, I need to add some extra documentation, privacy policy, and so on. So it's been delayed a bit, but yeah, it will be added in Chrome store very soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Great. And I see, so we've had a lot of comments throughout the stream of just as you all were presenting each tool. I know, for example, Charis had shared, I think this was for Galactic, that it's been, or actually, I think this was for all the tools in general. My apologies. That all of these have been helpful for handling weighting and fuzzy translations for the Indonesian locale and the locales that he contributes to. And with that, I'd like to turn that into a question for all of you. Having created these tools and knowing how the WordPress community is, where it's so easy to connect with each other, ask questions, and contribute, and things like that. Have you gotten any interesting stories back, or any stories from other contributors who've used your tools that were particularly meaningful for you, where you felt proud of having contributed to this or having created this, knowing that it was helpful for someone else? And I will leave that open for any of you to share. So just unmute and jump in if anything comes to mind.
I think it's just a small feedback that we get. It doesn't have to be something big, but just seeing one user saying, "Hey, thanks, I find this useful," is just a reward enough.
So I hear you. Go ahead, Vipji.
I think Peter was going to say something.
Yeah, but my mic was on mute. I think I was my own contributor to the add-on from Zigbee, because as I was moving along translations, I found some stuff that was not present in the tool, and I added them together with Zigbee and some help with Vlad also. That is why it has become as it is now currently, and I think we are at the end of this enhancement for this tool. Some fixing probably need to be done. So if someone finds a bug, please report it. We can fix it.
Yes.
I just want to note, I see that Yogesh, we have lots of call outs to Yogesh today, so thank you. He's adding in some of the links to the tools mentioned here today for the GitHub repositories, so everyone can find them easily. So if you're watching on YouTube, take a look in the chat. You can find all those links there. They will be available after as well. They're available on wptranslationday.org as well. And I know that we are close to the end of the session, but I did just want to highlight one thing and maybe open another question to all of you. Throughout this presentation, there have been multiple times where you've mentioned compatibility with other extensions or tools that exist and ways that you've helped each other. And I was just curious to ask all of you how that experience has been in terms of collaborating with each other. I know that's a pretty general question for the WordPress community, where, that's essentially how we work. That's the open source spirit. But yeah, I wanted to ask you all how that experience has been for you in terms of getting involved, and also if you have any information or tips for someone who might be interested in helping or getting involved with your tools as well.
Yeah, I guess the Slack channel is very useful to communicate with other translators, and that's how I came in contact with Peter, and we have been collaborating for a while now. So if anyone is interested, they can join any of these polyglots channels, and they can let us know that they would like to contribute or would like to suggest any features they might be looking forward. Yeah.
let me state some other thing. Vlad already mentioned it. I have been testing all of these extensions together to make sure that we do not destroy the other ones. So currently in my translation experience and handling strings that are coming in every day, I started with 120,000 waiting strings, which I managed to, together with some other Dutch team members, to zero. So now we can see that as soon as a suggestion comes in, we can handle it. That's working very good with all those three tools together. And it improves the speed of handling those strings.
Amazing.
For me, it was a learning journey. A few months ago, I didn't know the things I know today, and that just because of such a welcoming community. So if you think you don't know enough to help, that's wrong. You can always help in some way. Just come along and say, I want to help, and you'll find something you can contribute.
I see lots of nodding on the screen.
Yep.
And I also see that Toby just added, and as well as Olga's comment that's on the screen here now, that you can we can only love something that we can understand, and we are all building this understanding together. I think that's such a great thing to highlight about this. And I see Toby's comment as well that there's ways to make huge contributions even without coding, but also just testing and reporting those bugs as well, and helping to improve things along the way. So those are also some great tips and points from the chat as well. Right, and with that, I know that we're at the top of the hour. I just want to, before we wrap up, add a few quick announcements just to share. We have other ongoing events for the global event series that are coming up on Tuesday at 11 UTC. We will have another panel similar to this with contributors from a couple of open source translation projects. So we do have some contributors from WordPress, of course, but we will also be talking with folks from Mozilla and Hyperledger Fabric. So I'm looking forward to that. And all the information for that, of course, is on the WordPress Translation Day website. And beyond that, just keep checking the website too for local events. Local translation mini events are a great way to get involved and get started and connect with your local community. Again, all of that is at wptranslationday.org. And one more shout out too. We are trying something this year with nominating Polyglots contributors as a way to honor and highlight folks who have helped other people become contributors. And that nomination form is also on the WP Translation Day website and the blog. That will be open until the end of the month. So if there's anyone who's helped you contribute to Polyglots, who's helped mentor you, or who you've seen mentor others and help others get more involved, please consider nominating them. It's a really nice way to just kind of give kudos to other people. Everything with WordPress translation is, the project can be as small or as big as you want. I think we all know that there's lots and lots of strings that can be translated at any point in time. And so every contribution, whether it's helping introducing someone, like mentioned here, testing things, helping inspire others to create tools or use tools together and improve their workflow, all of those things are so important to helping new people join and get involved, and everything that comes from that as well. So keep that in mind. Don't forget to do that. Check out the website. And I will end here by just saying a big thank you to all of the contributors here today. I'm so glad you were able to share your tools, everything you've been working on, but also your experience and passion for this project as well. So thank you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.